Welcome back, mystery enthusiasts, to another thrilling episode on our channel. If you're new here, prepare to dive into the captivating world of unseen and untold stories. And if you're returning, we're glad to have you back. It's your constant support and curiosity that fuels our content. If you enjoy our videos and want to join us as we unravel more mysteries, don't forget to hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Today, we're stepping into the heartland of America, into a quiet town named Circleville, Ohio, a town that was once a haven of tranquility, soon to be unsettled by an enigma that would turn its peace upside down. So buckle up as we delve into the intriguing mystery of the Circleville Letters. Circleville, Ohio, a serene town, was about to be ruffled by an unexpected mystery. Nestled in the heart of the Midwest, Circleville was a picturesque embodiment of small-town America. It was a place where tree-lined streets whispered of tranquility, where neighbors greeted each other by name, and the sense of community was as tangible as the lush green lawns that dotted the town. The quiet rhythm of life, punctuated by the occasional high school football game or the annual pumpkin show, was a comforting refrain to its residents. But the town's harmony, its unspoken pact of peace, was on the brink of being disrupted. An undercurrent of unease was about to ripple through the community, turning neighbor against neighbor, casting long shadows of doubt and suspicion. The peace was about to be shattered by the arrival of the first anonymous letter. In the quiet of their homes, residents found unsettling letters awaiting them. This was how the enigma of the Circleville Letters began. Seemingly ordinary days in the peaceful town of Circleville, Ohio, were suddenly disrupted when residents began receiving anonymous, handwritten letters. Each envelope contained a sinister message, filled with accusations, threats, and disturbingly personal details. The town's tranquility was shattered as the first recipients of these letters were met with a chilling sense of unease. The messages were not just unsettling, they were menacing, instilling fear into the hearts of those who found them in their mailboxes. Imagine the shock, the disbelief, as every word read revealed intimate knowledge of personal lives, secret affairs, and alleged wrongdoings. The letters were invasive, intrusive, uncalled for. They brought to light things that were meant to be private, whispered accusations that were meant to be silent. The reactions were varied but universally tinged with dread. Some dismissed them as cruel pranks, while others feared a malicious intent behind the words. Questions began to circulate. Who was sending these letters? What did they want? And most importantly, how did they know so much? The letters were not just pieces of paper. They were threats. They were accusations, they were a violation of privacy, and as the number of letters grew, so did the fear, the paranoia, and the questions. But little did the residents know, the letters were just the beginning of a mystery that would grip the town. The letters were not just mysterious, they were menacing, filled with private details and accusations. Each envelope, carefully hand-addressed, contained a missive penned in an all-too-familiar blocky script. The author of these letters seemed to know intimate details about the recipients' lives, details that were not common knowledge. The letters accused residents of various wrongdoings, from infidelity to corruption, and all of them carried a threatening undertone. One letter, addressed to a local school bus driver named Mary, accused her of having an extramarital affair. The author seemed to know all about Mary's supposed indiscretions, including specific dates and locations. This wasn't just an idle threat, it was a calculated invasion of privacy, designed to instill fear and unsettle the recipient. And Mary wasn't the only one. Other residents received similar letters, each one filled with accusations tailored to the recipient, each one more menacing than the last. The content of these letters was deeply personal and disturbingly accurate. Some letters contained explicit threats, warning recipients of dire consequences if they failed to heed the warnings. The author seemed to take a perverse pleasure in the chaos they were causing, signing off each letter with a taunting, "Watch your back." These letters were more than just a nuisance. They were a weapon of psychological warfare. The residents of Circleville were living in a state of constant fear, wondering who among them could be responsible for these disturbing letters. Trust within the community began to erode as friends and neighbors eyed each other with suspicion. The once peaceful town of Circleville was now a hotbed of paranoia and fear. But the most unsettling aspect of these letters was the fact that they were untraceable. The author left no fingerprints, no DNA, no telltale signs. Whoever was behind these letters was careful, methodical, and they seemed to know exactly what they were doing. The letters sowed seeds of suspicion and fear in the hearts of the Circleville residents. The Circleville letters did not just affect the recipients, they shook the entire community. The once serene town of Circleville, with its lush parks and friendly neighborhood gatherings, was now a place of uncertainty and fear. The town's tranquility was shattered, replaced by an unsettling sense of dread. The letters, filled with personal accusations and threats, had everyone on edge. The community was baffled. Who could be behind these menacing messages? Was it a disgruntled neighbor, a resentful family member, or a stranger with a twisted sense of amusement? Every conversation in the local diner, every encounter on the high street was tinged with suspicion. Trust, that unspoken bond that once held the community together, was now a casualty of the mysterious letters. As weeks turned into months, the letters continued to arrive, each one a stark reminder of the unseen tormentor among them. The community lived in the shadow of the unknown, and the fear was palpable. The once friendly smiles were replaced with wary glances. The easygoing chatter gave way to hushed whispers. The town was on edge, and the sense of unease was palpable. The mystery of the letters turned neighbors into suspects, and peace into paranoia. The Circleville letters had transformed the town, casting a long, dark shadow over the community. The once close-knit town was now a place of mistrust and fear, forever marked by the unsettling mystery of the Circleville letters. Law enforcement was called in to unmask the anonymous author of the letters. As the town of Circleville was swept up in a maelstrom of suspicion and fear, the local police department and eventually state investigators were brought in to help hunt down the source of the chilling letters. The investigation was a tricky one. After all, the author of the letters seemed to know a lot about the residents of Circleville, suggesting an insider. But with a whole town to suspect and no concrete evidence, the task was like finding a needle in a haystack. Investigators began with a meticulous analysis of the letters themselves. Handwriting experts combed through the scrawled script, hoping to find a unique quirk or indicator that could point to the author. Forensic teams tried to lift fingerprints, but the author was cunning, leaving no trace behind. The content of the letters, threatening and filled with intimate details, became a pivotal point in the investigation. Investigators cross-referenced the information in the letters with the known facts about the recipients, constructing a web of connections to narrow down the list of potential suspects. Door-to-door interviews were conducted, not only to gather information, but also to observe reactions. The hope was that the guilty party might unwittingly give themselves away, but the community was tight-lipped, a wall of silence that investigators struggled to penetrate. The local postal service was scrutinized, and mail routes were traced in an attempt to identify any unusual patterns. Even the mailboxes where the letters had been found were inspected for clues. But as the weeks turned into months, the investigation seemed to be hitting one dead end after another. As the investigation dragged on, the letters continued to arrive, each one a stark reminder of the unseen threat that lurked in the shadows of this peaceful town. The investigators were determined, but the author was elusive, always one step ahead, taunting them with each new letter. Despite their best efforts, the identity of the letter writer remained a mystery. The hunt for answers was far from over, and the town of Circleville was left to ponder who among them could be capable of such a sinister act. Just when it seemed like the mystery would never be solved, a breakthrough emerged. The tireless efforts of law enforcement and a few persistent locals began to pay off. It was a combination of keen observation, a smidge of luck, and a dash of forensic science that sparked the first glimmer of hope. The handwriting, the postmarks, the quiet whispers of a small town, all these pieces began to form a picture that was as startling as it was revealing. A suspect was identified, a local resident whose proximity to the victims was chilling. The puzzle pieces fell into place, and the once faceless terror now had a face. A trial ensued, evidence was presented, and the guilty verdict echoed in the hushed courtroom. The dark cloud that had hung over Circleville was finally lifting. The resolution of the case brought both relief and shock to the residents of Circleville. In the aftermath of the letters, the town had to grapple with the reality of the mystery. The Circleville letters left an indelible mark on the community, thrusting this small, peaceful town into an unsettling spotlight. It was a chilling reminder that even places steeped in tranquility are not immune to the undercurrents of human nature. But amidst the turmoil, something remarkable transpired. The townsfolk, once divided by suspicion and fear, began to draw together, finding strength in their shared experience. They faced the adversity head-on, their unity becoming a beacon of resilience in the face of the unknown. The impact of the letters was profound, yet it was the town's response that truly defined this chapter in their history. The Circleville Letters, a story of mystery and resilience, will forever be etched in the town's history. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey into the mystery of the Circleville Letters. If you've enjoyed this roller coaster of suspense, intrigue, and resilience, please take a moment to hit that like button. It helps us create more content like this for you. We'd love to hear your thoughts and theories about the Circleville Letters. What do you think was the motive behind these letters? Who could have sent them? Share your theories in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, so you never miss out on our next adventure into the unknown. Stay tuned for more mysteries, and remember, the world is full of stories waiting to be told. Let's unravel them together.